Hi, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Fandom Report. I'm your host, Catherine Mora, and today I'm joined by the lovely Lauren, aka Little Miss Scarlet Witch on TikTok. Hi,
Hi.
Lauren. Hi. Thank you so much. Thank you again so much for agreeing to join me on this episode today. I'm really excited.
Of course. I love talking about anything pertaining to Wanda.
So, um, before we go deep into WandaVision, I guess, unless it pertains to your answer, can you just kind of give us a little background about like your history with the character?
Okay, so I didn't start my journey with Marvel with
Mhm.
Wanda, if that makes any
Okay.
sense.
Yeah.
The character who actually got me into Marvel was Peggy Carter,
Okay.
because I am like a fanatic for all things vintage. So
Hmm.
I love anytime the Marvel Cinematic Universe touches on like the past
Hmm.
time periods, anything like that. The first Avenger used to be like my favorite movie. The show Agent Carter was like the love of my life. So that was what really got me into Marvel. And then starting last year, or really before that, they were like, we're going to
Hmm.
do this sitcom project with decades and different fashion and all of this vintage retro stuff. And I was
Hmm.
like, naturally, okay, this has to become my whole personality. And I was not expecting to even love the show as much as I did,
Hmm.
but I just started this project when the show came out where I just decided to cosplay an outfit from every episode as the episodes were coming out. And
Yeah.
that got me into cosplay, and that got me
Hmm.
into uh Wanda, and I just totally fell in love with her and realized like how similar we are, and
Hmm.
that I could do somewhat of a decent like voice impression, and then that turned into where we are today.
Yeah, no, I remember seeing, discovering your account and being like, it's true, like your voice impressions of Wanda it's just so spot on. Like if like honestly, you guys, if you are not following Lauren on TikTok, you're like a WandaVision fan, you're a Wanda fan, you definitely have to because and it's true like with all the different decades and everything it's so fun to like watch you do that on TikTok like doing like the different cosplays and everything and like sometimes when you go like a little more in depth with your videos like you do like the whole like
Yeah.
aesthetic like you did like this like
Yeah.
Christmas theme TikTok too and I was
Oh
just like
yeah.
obsessed with it.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's so good, it's so good, but like yeah, so can I ask like what your favorite, I don't know if it, okay, there's like two questions here. Like what your favorite decade, like the way they presented in the episode was, and like what your favorite episode of WandaVision was.
Okay. Okay. I would say, oh God, I love I love them all.
Yeah.
I switch back and forth between my favorites being the 50s episode and the 70s episode.
Okay.
The 70s episode is funnier, but the 50s one is more like comfort. And I literally, quite literally have it memorized. Like I could recite the whole thing to you.
I love
So
that.
it's like that episode that episode is so like just I just adopted that one. But I love the 70s one. I love them all. So, and I don't know. I love like I don't know. Every episode of that show is so good. I love
Yeah.
episode 7 or 8. I think it is the one with all the flashbacks.
Yeah, that's
And
episode
you're
8. Yeah.
going through the timeline. Yeah, because there's
Hmm.
9 episodes. That one is so good. I love the
Yeah.
60s episode. I love the talent
Yeah.
show. Love the 80s
Yes.
is hilarious. The 80s when like the conflict starts rising. So
Yeah.
I don't. It's so
Yeah.
hard to pick a favorite.
Can I just say though, like I love, so I totally agree. I love the 60s episodes so much. And like the costumes for like the talent show. I think it's such a shame that like we can't see like the red of her
Totally.
costume. Like obviously,
Mm-hmm.
it has to be black and white and it's gorgeous in black and white, but like when you
Mm-hmm.
see like the color pictures of
Yes,
her costume, it's like, oh, it's so beautiful.
I know.
So
I'm
pretty.
planning on making that one soon. So hopefully I'll be able
Ooh,
to like wear it to a con or something, and then it'll be in
yeah.
color. So
Yes.
we'll get that a little bit.
Oh God, yes, I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. But yeah, it's honestly like I would probably have to say either I do love the 50s episode. I think I do love the 60s episode a little more.
Mm-hmm.
But I think my favorite is probably the 80s because that one, like you're saying, it like starts like bringing up the conflict and everything. We get like a
Mm-hmm.
good combination of like what's going on in Westview and what's going on
Yeah.
outside of the Hex.
Hmm.
And we finally get like the Hexagang, as I so affectionately call them, like
Yes.
outside. Like it's actually funny to me like how much like everybody on TikTok was like simping over Jimmy Woo, and we kind of all just forgot about it.
I know, that was such a good era. Like you mentioned it in a video, but that time where every video ended with like, you got Jimmy wooed, and it was like a thing.
And
That
like
was so
everybody
fun.
finding like every single project that Randall Park has been in.
Yes. Oh
Oh,
god, that was so
it
good.
it really was a much simpler time. But you know what? No, to be fair, it wasn't because it was a simpler time, but I feel like it was also like the start of when the theorizing like really just kind of
So
got out of
true.
hand a little bit.
Yeah, I would say like even with No Way Home, I think the
Mhm.
theorizing culture, the theory culture of the Marvel fandom has never been at more of a peak than it was with
Yeah.
WandaVision. Like people were
Yeah.
just throwing out the most insane stuff. No Way Home was like accurate.
Yeah.
WandaVision was like not accurate at all, but really, really fun.
No, and that's the thing. It was like I would say like the fandom was like 98% off the mark, but it was just so much fun. It was so much fun watching like it
Uh-huh.
was like every little thing. It was like Mephisto, Mephisto, Mephisto. We're like, we're like Reed
Still
Richards is
waiting
gonna
for
show up.
Mephisto.
I know.
I know.
Mephisto's gonna turn out to be the true villain of Phase 4.
I know.
It
Do
was
you
Mephisto
remember
all along.
when they were, oh my God, I'm still like bitter about it. They hinted so much at that, like, I know an engineer who could help us out with
Yes.
this. And it was
Okay.
like,
I know.
nobody.
Okay, so I don't know if you know this, but because so a little bit of backstory here. When the Ralph Boner thing happened, I was like
Hmm.
so pissed off. And so I was like reading
Yeah.
all of these articles, all these interviews, trying to get more information. And it turns out, I can't remember if it was the showrunner or the director that was saying, like, oh yeah, like as each episode was released, we would like look at the feedback online and then edit the next episode based on that feedback. So when I know. It's insane to me. It's insane to me.
Wow.
So it turns out that Reed Richards was like never supposed to be in the show. It was just going to be some random person, but they saw
Yeah.
how much the fans wanted it to be Reed Richards that they cut out an entire scene with like the actual engineer in
Oh
the
my
end.
God. That makes sense because they like had that whole scene where they were like
Mhm.
hyping it up and then they're like, nope,
Yeah.
backpedal, backpedal. We
That
can't
we're
we
just
can't go
gonna
there. Yeah.
yeah, it's not,
We're
no,
telling
can't
you
do it, can't
no.
do it.
Yeah.
It's a no.
Oh goodness.
I, I know. Yeah, it was like, and to also, I think like wasn't Doctor Strange supposed to be in it at some point?
Yes. Yes, there were so many like rumors and like confirmed rumors that he was
Yeah.
no, I think that was like cut. Like he had a scene at the end or something.
Mm,
I think it's something that's like connected to Multiverse of Madness. Like it
yeah.
was something that they just filmed while they were shooting that and like it
Yeah.
was something like that that they ended up not putting in.
That makes sense because WandaVision was supposed to come out like right before Multiverse of Madness was going to be
Yes.
released, so that does make sense.
Yeah.
I just wish that Marvel and Disney would just like release like all of the deleted scenes. Like that would be like a great 1 year anniversary present for us. Like I feel like there's so much there. Like even if the special effects
Yeah.
aren't complete, like we've seen that with like other our Marvel projects, but like just so
Hmm.
that we can see like what was cut, like what could have happened, because
Absolutely.
it was
Yeah.
already such a crazy project. And I say that with all the affection in the world. And
Yeah.
yeah, just on
No,
it,
totally agree.
it's it because I mean, and I know that it's hard to compare WandaVision to like any other show because you have like the
Yeah.
sitcom stuff going on, but then you have like the big scale Marvel stuff going on, and then you have it
Right.
like going back and forth between the
Yeah.
two. It's
I mean, it was a genre that Marvel has never like remotely touched in the past. Like
mhm,
WandaVision jump started phase four in a way that nothing else could. I feel
yeah.
like it was just so, I mean, it set the precedent. So what I love about WandaVision is how character focused it is. And I
Mhm.
feel like all of phase four has been way more character focused than anything in the MCU has been in the past. And I'm really big on like character focus. So to start with that to open the year, and that feels like it set the precedent for phase 4.
Yeah, I agree. I totally
Yeah.
agree. Kind of side note, but not entirely. It reminds me there was this TikTok going around. It's that guy who always does like Tony Stark build Marvel in a cave with a box of scraps.
Oh yeah.
But but this it was like it was him watching WandaVision with his friend, and it was like WandaVision built phase 4 in a cave with a box of scraps. And I'm like, 100% it did.
So true. Yeah.
It really did. And I feel like it's doing it in ways that we won't even be able to fully appreciate until like Multiverse of Madness, until even Quantum Mania comes out.
Yeah.
Like it's really, and I think part of it too, like the confusion with like how, because I know a lot of fans are like, wait, but it's supposed to be like multiverse, like, but nothing really happened here.
Yeah.
Because the story was initially set to like connect directly into Multiverse of Madness. I feel like once we finally see that movie, we're gonna see the pieces, like any loose ends that we might have had in WandaVision, we're finally gonna be able to see how it all wraps up.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah. So, okay, so when you were watching Spider-Man No Way Home for the first time and you're sitting there, you're waiting for the after credits, and then all of a sudden it's the teaser for Multiverse of Madness.
Oh God. Oh, I will never forget it. Like, so first of all, I don't know if this happened to you. So many people left.
Yes.
I was pissed off. Like, how can you just leave?
I know. No,
this
I
is
know.
what I've been saying all year through all 4 movies that have come out this year is Marvel has been a thing for like close to 10 years now. And it's very mainstream and like not some like secret thing anymore that there's like extra scenes. Like everyone knows that there are more. Like just stay. I don't understand.
It's
like,
not
what
even
the problem
that.
is.
No, it's also like because it's such a huge thing with Marvel, like other movies are doing it too because of Marvel. So it's like you stay for the post-credit scene, like
exactly.
And also it's like because so I'm assuming, you know, there's a few people in there who like that's their second time maybe watching the film. So I can understand, but the amount of people who like got up and left, I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. It's
no, I remember sitting in the theater. I went with my family for like the 3rd or 4th time, and I'd seen it like a million times. And my mom leans over. We'd all seen it. And my mom leans over. She's like, "Can we go before the second one?" I was like, "My pride cannot do that. I cannot bear to like be seen as someone leaving the theater before. Like, I need everyone to know I'm legit." I know the trailer's on Instagram now, but like it's about the honor code.
Yes. And also like the experience too. Like it's something totally different when you're there and you're like surround sound, huge screen, seeing, you know, Wanda. And okay, so can I just talk about how in the teaser she's like in her garden pruning branches. I'm like, okay, this is like some sort of metaphor for the multiverse.
So
100%.
Oh, I haven't gotten into like too much theories about that trailer yet. So that is so true. I haven't even thought about that. That's crazy.
I'm trying not to, just because like I wanted to give myself a little more time to breathe after like No Way Home and Hawkeye before like diving. Yeah. We're like diving deep into that teaser and like, and the thing is, like we're saying, like we know the fandom, like we know that we can come up with like 1,000,001 theories. And it's not always going to be accurate. But that was like one scene in particular that immediately stuck out to me that, you know, it's like the first time we've really seen her in anything since WandaVision. And that's like the visual that they choose to present to us. And I'm like, this is, I see what you guys are doing here.
Totally. Everything means something, especially with those kind of movies in the MCU where it's like, this is a big movie. Like everything is everything leading up to it is so strategic. So like, it definitely means something. Yeah. I just think like, gosh, being there, because like Wanda had a fan base before WandaVision, but after WandaVision, like she became a huge comfort character and like one of like the main favorite characters of so many people. And so just being in that theater and like I knew that it was coming, the Multiverse of Madness teaser, because they had been like hinting at it, like dropping, and then there were all those like rumors. I don't know if you were like in on that, the weeks coming up to it, where it was like the Multiverse of Madness trailer is going to be like somehow aligned with No Way Home. I thought it was going to drop like the week after or something like that. And then somebody told me like before I saw it that the Multiverse of Madness thing was the second post-credit scene. So I knew it was coming, but just hearing like the whole theater like scream when they saw her was so validating. Like, we love her together. Like, it's just so fun. Everyone shares this love for this character. And it's like, probably most of us never had this emotion for her before since this year. But like now we've gone through so much with her that it's like so exciting to see her again. And like, she ended on such a cliffhangery note that it's like just
that last post-credit scene of WandaVision, it's like okay. And especially like with the rumors coming out that the teaser didn't really like align with these rumors, but we've seen from like No Way Home, they don't show us everything obviously, but like all the rumors coming out that she's going to be like very dark side in this movie, and that post-credit scene from WandaVision, you know, lends to that theory. But hopefully, you know, if that does happen, we do get a little more like comfort Wanda before any dark side stuff happens with her.
Yeah, we love domestic Wanda.
Yes, that's the word I'm looking for. Domestic Wanda. Yes. Which, you know, I'm very happy. You know, she's living, she's on her farm, she's tending to her plants. She seems to be more at peace than when we last left her. But yeah, it's gonna be, and then because I'm also confused too about that one shot of Strange like using chaos magic. I'm like, okay, that's
or like
weird.
To me, it looked like he was like breaking it down, like he was like diagramming it in the air and was like trying to study it. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know. Because like I thought only like the Scarlet Witch could use chaos magic. Like that's how Agatha knew that she was the Scarlet Witch. But then he's doing like, it.
Maybe Doctor Strange's thing is like stealing other people's powers. So like
that's true too. That would be interesting.
That would be super interesting.
Yeah. Especially if it's like a well, because that's the thing too that I'm a little confused about. Like Wanda being a nexus being, like that means that she's the same in all multiverses. Is there like variants of her, but they're like all the same and connected somehow? And if Supreme Strange is like going around the multiverse screwing things up, like what his connection to any other Wandas might be.
I hope we learn more about that in this movie, because they have hinted, all we know about her being a nexus being is that one nexus commercial in the WandaVision, in WandaVision episode 7, I think. So they've like basically like kind of confirmed it, but they haven't said anything about what it means. So all we know is like what it means in the comics, which is oftentimes super different from what that means in the MCU. So
they tend to pick and choose from the comics to what they want to have canon in the MCU. And it's and again, we can come up with like a million and one theories and speculate all day long, and it's fun. But also at the end of the day, you know, we want to just make sure that we don't do anything to like, because I know a lot of fans were like really disappointed by the end of WandaVision too. Like I feel like that disappointment has kind of gone away for the most part, and people have been able to like go back and watch the show and enjoy it for what it is. But like in the moment, I know that there was some disappointment.
We learned from that. That was like we're like, okay, so we're never doing that again.
We actually got really lucky that we were pretty much accurate with No Way Home. Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
I just remember thinking like it was like 3 more hours till I had to see the movie, till I was going to see the movie, and I just remember thinking like, I know Andrew and Toby are going to be in this, like I feel it in my heart, but if they're not, I don't know what the world is going to do. like how is this? I don't understand like the cultural impact that would have if they weren't in it, like,
or if they were in it. If they were in it, but then they did like a Ralph Boner.
For real. It's like a little cameo or something. It's just the actors.
It's like, hi, my name is Richard whatever, but you can call me Dick.
With both of them too. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
And I feel like once we start getting closer to Multiverse of Madness, like that kind of theorizing and hype will like start up again. I feel like for the most part, the fandom is like kind of quiet and chill with
It
Multiverse
has
of
been.
Madness. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, which is a little surprising to me, but
I know. Like to me, I am a big Spider-Man fan. I am not like I didn't grow up on the other Spider-Man movies. So like
Mhm.
for me, Tom Holland was like my Spider-Man. So
Yeah,
Spider-Man No Way Home was like really exciting. I had seen them before, but like not
right.
it was not like this big like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this movie is coming out. So I didn't understand. Like to me, I was like, the big movie is Multiverse of Madness. Like that's where because No Way Home did it a little bit where it and
Mhm.
then No Way Home ended up being like the best movie of all time. And obviously I'm obsessed with it now. But Multiverse of Madness is gonna be like the really first movie to like completely like connect phase 4 events. No Way Home did it a
Yeah,
little bit, but like just a tiny bit. Like
yeah.
I remember being so frustrated when Falcon and Winter Soldier came out and it was like no mention of the Westview events. Like this
Mhm.
is at virtually the same time or after
Mhm.
and like you're not like there's no like you're not going to throw in a throwaway line about sword like there's no
Yeah.
connection. It felt like a little bit like huh. And then Loki, like, you're not going to talk about Wanda, like, screwing everything up, or there was never any intersection between any of the shows. Black Widow,
Yeah,
obviously, Black Widow takes place way before,
right.
but, and then, like, Shang-Chi has no consequence. And then we got that little post-credit scene. Anyway,
Mhm.
my point is, Multiverse of Madness is like the first big, like, we are addressing Westview, we're
Mhm.
addressing hopefully Loki. I hope we get
Yeah,
into Loki. Like
yeah.
I hope that there is a lot that comes together. We're addressing No Way Home. Like
Mhm.
just a lot of stuff is gonna finally be coming together for the
Yeah,
first time. So
yeah. No, I agree. It like I feel like, especially with the Falcon and the Winter Soldier and with Hawkeye, I feel like those are supposed to be like more of like what kind of grounds Marvel, because when it
for
comes to like the
sure.
multiverse and everything, like it is so huge and like larger than life that I feel like Marvel almost wants to like balance it out. It did
Mm-hmm.
feel weird though, like even like you were saying, like there was no mention of sword in the Falcon and the Winter
Mm-hmm.
Soldier. Like that was like one of the most grounded parts of WandaVision and like a
Yeah.
government agency that's supposed to be, the
Yeah.
replacement in the MCU for Shield, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that they're not included at all was
Yeah.
very bizarre.
Yeah.
um but yeah, it's gonna be, I agree, Multiverse of Madness is gonna be what kind of starts piecing everything together. Like we know that
Mm-hmm.
Kang is supposed to be in Quantum Mania, so we know that that storyline's still gonna continue to like
Right.
2023, 2024. I'm not sure
Yeah.
when that movie's supposed to come out,
Yeah.
but
So
it's,
excited for that one.
I know, I know
Yeah,
it's
it's
gonna
gonna be really
be,
good.
it's gonna be so good. Ant-Man's so underrated. It's
I
he's
know.
so underrated.
Ant-Man was one of my first favorite like Marvel franchises. Like that is the like,
He's
really really loved franchise in our household.
he's so it's he I just love, so like Paul Rudd is like not somebody who you would automatically expect to like play a superhero, but he's like
Yeah,
perfect for Scott Lang.
so perfect. Yeah.
And he fit in Civil War and Avengers Endgame like so well. So
Hmm.
I'm just so happy for him. I'm so proud of him.
I know. I know. I love that.
I love that for him. But yeah, I hope, like you're saying, I do hope that Multiverse of Madness like will, obviously we know it's going to address Westview. We saw that right off the bat in the
Yeah.
teaser. Hopefully it does address Loki, or like even if it's like, I mean, with it's literally the Multiverse of Madness, and the whole thing at the end of Loki was like the multiverse is opening up. Like it
Yeah.
has to tie in somehow.
Hmm.
Did you ever see that clip that was going around? Like somebody played the Loki finale and the WandaVision finale, like, and at this exact
Yes.
moment where Kang is like, "Oh, we crossed the threshold," is like when Wanda like powers up.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yes, I saw
So
that. Hmm.
yeah, so it's like okay, nothing like Marvel hasn't like outright confirmed or said anything about that to us. That was more of a fan discovery, but I feel like it's with Marvel, we know that there really are no coincidences
Yeah.
that big. So I feel like it has to
Yeah.
be connected somehow. And like again, hopefully Multiverse of Venice will touch on that, or
Yeah.
it's very far away, but like Quantum Mania. Like I need Marvel to like like how they were doing in Hawkeye, like going back and like kind of like resolving how Clint and Natasha were supposed to be really good friends, but we never really see them
Uh-huh.
on screen that much. Like they kind of go back and like they're like, no, see, these are the connections and this is how it all
Yes.
plays out.
Yeah. Like filling
Yeah.
in those cracks. I
Yeah.
loved that about Hawkeye.
Yeah.
And it did actually, I'm wrong. The Hawkeye did a great job at connecting to something else in phase 4 because it was very like on par with Black Widow.
Oh yes.
So I loved that
Yes.
element because Black Widow is my favorite movie. So
I
favorite
I
Marvel
love
movie. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah,
So good.
Yelena is such
Yeah.
a blessing to the
I
MCU.
know. I know. She's the best.
And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I know, and myself included, like everybody's like obsessed with like the Kate and Yelena friendship, but I actually
hmm
think that Yelena and Wanda would be like really good friends too.
Right? I know. I feel like Yelena would be so grounding for her. Like she would just
Yeah.
talk to her like a person instead of treating her like a weapon or like
Yes.
some scary person. She would just be like, okay, well, you're annoying too. So
Yeah. Yes. Like she would definitely do the same thing. She like breaks into like Wanda's little cabin and like makes
yeah,
macaroni and cheese.
I could totally see it.
Like the part in Civil War where Wanda like uses her magic to like throw a knife at Clint's
hmm
head, except it's
Oh my
Yelena. She goes,
gosh.
"Hi."
Yeah. Yes. Oh my gosh.
She just grabs it. It's like, "Hi."
That was so perfect. I love that.
Yelena's
My
just gonna go
sister did this
around.
to me all the time. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. She's just gonna go around just
Mm.
making a bunch of make her Sex in the City friend group.
Yes. Oh yeah, her fantasy. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that.
Actually, that would be I want like a
I
sitcom
know.
of Wanda, Yelena, and Kate in
I
New York
need
City.
it. That would be so good. Oh
It'd be
man.
so much fun.
hmm
So much fun. It's it's just sad that rip Sparky, because then otherwise they could have all like had their dogs like having like play
So
dates or something.
true. Wanda has sheep now, so Wanda just
Yes.
brings one of her sheep.
She takes on her she like uses her chaos magic to like make it look like a dog, but it's still like
Yeah, exactly.
going like bah. Like, what's wrong with your dog?
It's like Sparky size, but it's just
Yes.
bang like a sheep.
Yes.
Oh.
Oh my god. I love that. Yeah, okay. So going back to like actual things that happened in the MCU.
Yeah.
Actual things that happened in the MCU. I guess what would you want to see like the most in it, like in Multiverse of Madness? Like I know we were talking about like how like you want Multiverse of Madness to like kind of finally connect everything and like start answering
Mhm.
questions, but like in terms of like character moments or interactions, like what's something that you would like
Mm.
really want out of this movie?
Um, I would love to see Tommy and Billy again, but I'm
Yes.
conflicted because I'm super attached to little them.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like the only way we're gonna see them is they're like grown up now because we're trying to do the Young Avengers thing, and obviously the
Mm-hmm.
10-year-olds don't fit in with like the like Kate Bishop who's 21 or whatever kind of
Right.
thing. So um I want them back because I love them, but also at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, I'm like, oh, but they'll be old. I don't want them to be
Yeah.
old. Um, I I really hope we see some interesting because everybody since WandaVision finished, everybody's been saying she's gonna be the villain in Multiverse of Madness. There's
Mm-hmm.
been the rumor that she's gonna kill people, like
Yeah.
that's going around, which I'm excited for. I think that will be super interesting. And I'm not one to shy away from like moral grayness. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
not like I love Wanda. I'm not a Wanda like I'm not gonna defend her actions at all cost
Mm-hmm.
kind of person, but and I would love to see her as a villain, but I also from the teaser, I think it would be interesting to see her as not the villain. The way the teaser looked to me just off the bat was
Mm-hmm.
more like it's a Wanda and Strange team up against Dark Doctor Strange, and
Right.
she's gonna have to learn how to harness that like dark magic that she's been learning and use it
Mm-hmm.
for good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I would love to see that because it's just a little unexpected. Like everybody's been expecting her to be like the final boss in Multiverse
Yeah.
of Madness. And it's like, well, I mean, it's like kind of predictable. I would be
Yeah.
interested to see it go a different way. So,
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I would be happy with anything. I love Wong. I hope he gets plenty of screen time
Mhm.
as the Sorcerer
Yes.
Supreme now.
Yes. Yes.
So
Which
yeah.
it's funny to me because thinking back to the WandaVision finale, how Agatha was like, "You're more powerful than the Sorcerer Supreme," and I was like, "Oh, that means she's
Yeah.
gonna fight
Doctor
Strange." But
Strange.
I'm like, "Well,
Yeah.
no, actually, now the Sorcerer Supreme is Wong." So does
Yeah.
that mean we're gonna get, if like they do like Wanda's like the big bad? Like, are we gonna get like a
Hmm.
Wong versus Wanda fight at some point,
Yeah.
which would be very interesting.
I know everyone thinks that's like her like torturing him or killing him or whatever in the
Yeah.
teaser, because like there's like apparently like some red around his hand or something.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know.
I mean, to be fair though, like Marvel they edit the trailers all the time.
Yeah.
Like in No Way Home, they
Yeah.
cut out Toby and Andrew from like
Literally.
that
Yeah.
one shot.
Hmm.
So it might be that they're like trying to feed into that, or it might be true. Who knows? What could
Yeah.
also be because you were mentioning how it might be Wanda and Steven teaming up against Dark Steven. I almost wonder if, and again, it goes back to like how the whole nexus thing works in the MCU, if it's going to be like Wanda and Steven versus like a dark Wanda and
Right.
Steven.
Right.
Yeah.
That could be really interesting. That's like, not to talk about Star Wars, but we never
Hmm.
got like anything of Dark Ray, and everyone was so
Hmm.
excited that we were gonna like get
Yeah.
Dark Ray, and then in Rise of Skywalker we didn't get anything. So that would be
Yeah.
cool to like see
Yeah.
more of the like dark versions.
Hmm.
Or
Hmm. No,
is she already the dark version?
she might
Who
be.
knows?
She might be.
Who
Will they
knows?
merge into one and make the
I
morally
know.
gray, like struggling with the
Right.
magic, but like still wanting to do good
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
the possibilities are endless.
Mm-hmm. Completely.
Oh God. Yeah. I just think I despite the lack of hype that this movie has right now, I do think it's probably going to, if not match No Way Home, blow No Way Home out of the water. Like, don't get me
Mm,
wrong, No Way Home is fantastic, and I agree it's like one of my favorite movies now.
yeah.
But I do think Multiverse of Madness, especially with all the rumors coming out about like the reshoots to have like more cameos and stuff, I think it's gonna be just such a huge project that it's gonna surpass all of our expectations, like no question.
Yeah, agreed. And I'm super mad about the delays, obviously, because it was
Yeah,
supposed to come out in March and now it's in
I know,
May.
I know.
But the fact that I know, I've cried my tears over it, but the fact that it is the first thing we're gonna have after a 5-month period of nothing
Mm-hmm.
is really gonna do wonders. Like, people are still reeling from No Way Home and Hawkeye
Yeah.
now and like processing. Everyone's really into Daredevil right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's trending on Netflix now,
Yeah,
which I love.
I know. I'm so happy.
So I know. So everyone's watching Daredevil, which is great. So
Mhm.
like this is a great time to watch Daredevil. It's a
Yeah.
great time to watch, Punisher and Jessica Jones and all of that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's gonna be happening a lot during that 5-month period. But
Yes.
it's 5 whole months, and at some point we're all going to get bored of that and have
Mm-hmm.
nothing, and that's when they're going to hit us with all the like little posters and
Mm-hmm.
promos, and it's all going to start coming, and then people are just going to go insane. That's what I think
Yeah,
is going to happen.
I agree, and I think it's gonna, because I feel like that was why part of the reason why WandaVision was so successful, like right off the bat, was because
Hmm.
we waited over a year for new Marvel
Yeah,
content. Like the
totally.
pandemic postponed everything. Like after Far
Yeah.
From Home, that which came out like in July 2019. So we went through like a year and a half of nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think Multiverse of Madness is gonna benefit from like the same kind of thing where it's like after a year of
Yeah.
having something new every single week and then going cold turkey for like 5 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think Marvel knows what they're doing. Like they're definitely
Yeah.
like it's all part of our evil plan.
Hmm. And it's like not a soft opening at all. It's not like opening with something like Hawkeye. It's opening
No,
with like, I mean, essentially a horror movie. I keep forgetting this movie is supposed to be like also a
right.
horror movie, which
You're
I
right.
love horror, so I'm really excited for that. But
Yes.
yeah, it's just gonna be so much impact. I'm really excited to see like where that goes. And then it's like
Yeah.
that's in May. The next thing is Love and Thunder in June,
Yes.
right?
Uh, June or
So
July. Yeah.
okay, yeah, July, I think. So
Yeah.
we have a little while to like just chew on that movie, which makes me
Yeah.
wonder, is that intentional? Like, do they want to give us so much of a period to just like think about this movie? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't
Which also makes
know.
me wonder too, like what shows are going to be released and when this year.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. They haven't said like
yeah,
anything.
no,
Yeah.
no, we're
Yeah.
going into 2022, like as far as we know, and I hope that that stays the case, that Multiverse of Madness will be the first thing that we get from
Yeah.
Marvel this year. Because I think it would be a shame unless it like somehow ties into Multiverse of Madness. I think it would be a shame to kind of like let the fans get like hyped about something else, and that I feel
Yeah.
like will potentially detract from any hype for Multiverse of
Yeah.
Madness. I feel like the focus
Hmm.
should just be on that movie, like to start
Yeah.
off, especially because, like we're saying, it's going to be this big thing. So
Yeah.
just because this was something I noticed about Marvel last year, like especially because WandaVision was like the first and only thing they had going on. There was like so much effort going into the marketing. But once you had
Yes.
all these shows and movies overlapping with each other, it felt like it felt like they just didn't know what to do
Completely.
anymore. Like
Completely. Yeah. I'm
Shang-Chi, that
still,
whole
yes, I was
marketing
just gonna
thing.
say that. They had
Yeah.
no marketing for Shang-Chi.
No,
Yeah.
none. None.
Yeah.
It
It
was,
was
it's,
terrible.
they need, I don't know, because it kind of got fixed like by Eternals. I feel like Eternals on, they
Yeah.
kind of like resolved it. It could
They
also
did
be
do
because
good.
there was
Yeah.
like, yeah. So I don't know if they just hired more people or if they figured out some sort of like
Yeah.
plan or something. But yeah, I don't want that. What happened to Shang-Chi to happen to Multiverse of
Yeah.
Madness?
It's like it just got lost
Yeah.
because I feel like What If had more promo than Shang-Chi. Like we were seeing
Yeah.
Captain Carter on like freaking
I
everything.
know. I
And,
know.
and it's like, but what about Sean and Katie? Like,
Yeah. And
excuse
it's
me?
like,
Like, and it's like one of the most beautiful movies that came out
it
this year. Like, there
is.
are visuals for you to
Mm-hmm.
use in
Mm-hmm.
advertising, and they didn't do like anything with like I
Yeah.
can barely think about the posters. There I can remember a
No.
couple,
I
but they didn't do the whole like character poster
mm,
thing that they've been
no.
doing. Like, yeah.
No, they didn't. They
Wow.
didn't. And it's like weird to me too, because it's not like it's a movie that would like, it's not like a No Way Home where like you
Yeah.
can't give too much away because it's going to spoil the whole thing. It's like that's
Yeah.
not the kind of movie it was.
Yeah, you
So
want to promote it more because it's
yeah.
like less, it's a new character, so there's less
Mm-hmm.
hype.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I know.
Yeah. Yeah. And
We've talked about this before, but WandaVision had the best promotional
it
era
really
of
did. It like
Marvel. Like,
the posters were amazing. They were releasing like I remember they did this one like mid-season trailer that was like a minute
yes.
long. And I was like, this is beautiful. I watched it
Yeah,
like a million times. It was so
I
good.
know. And the way that, like, it was for sure the most suspenseful show this year, and
Yeah.
like the most like built up in every episode. Like, you needed to know what was going on in the next one. So
Yeah.
when they were releasing stuff like that, they were super strategic about like, we have to like, we're gonna like carefully put this shot in, and we know everyone's gonna
Yes.
go crazy over it. Or
Yeah.
like, they did that so well. And then it was like
Mhm.
obviously so creative because they were doing all the like TV advertisements, but it was
Yes.
like the different character posters, or like
Mhm.
the posters where it was like the character and then like all the different like
Yes.
TVs with like,
Yes.
so creative and so cool.
Mhm.
I want one for my walls. I don't have any, but like they're
Yeah.
so cool.
It was so
Yeah.
good. It
Yeah.
was it really was a beautiful, simpler yet not time.
Mhm. I loved the chaos of this year, but
Mhm.
especially near the end, like so we had Eternals, Hawkeye, and No Way Home,
Yeah.
and those were so sandwiched that it just felt really, really crazy. What I would have done, I would have loved if Eternals had come out during this 5-month window that we're about to have, because
Hmm.
Eternals is
Yeah.
not seasonal. So
Right.
like Hawkeye obviously had to come out at Christmas
Yes.
time, and
Hmm.
No Way Home like had that Christmas time ending and was like, an end of the year kind of thing. So like those
Yeah.
were good, but I'm Eternals was one of my favorite movies, and
Hmm.
I felt like I wasn't able to focus on Hawkeye because I was still trying to process Eternals, and then
Yeah.
No Way Home was coming out during like the Hawkeye like big finale time. It was
Yeah.
just like And then like it's like you guys didn't ration this well because now we have all of this time with
Mm-hmm.
nothing.
I
We couldn't
know.
have had like something in there instead of cramming it all in at the end. But I feel like they sacrificed a lot of the advertising, like we were saying, for that. Like it
Yeah.
was just like the Marvel Instagram, whoever was running that, kudos to you.
For
Like
real. For real.
just like at least posting at least 5 things a day, like just about like 10 different projects. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
No, it's true. And I do feel like because and the thing is too, I almost forgot about this. Miss Marvel was supposed to come out last year in 2021.
Yes. Yeah.
Miss Marvel was
And like
also
they
supposed
were
to come
saying
out.
like September, October, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was like another thing. So and I almost wonder if because I'm pretty sure like all the movies for this year, 2022 got pushed because of like the reshoots for Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
But I almost wonder if their thought was like, oh, we can put Miss Marvel in the beginning of the year. And
Yeah.
but apparently it's not coming out till like the summer or something like that.
I
I don't
know.
I don't
They're
know.
being so weird with this
I
show.
know.
They're
I
saying
know.
like nothing.
Yeah, I know.
And everyone's just like, "Will you tell us what's
Like
going on with
what's
Miss
going on
Marvel?"
with it?
Yeah, I feel like we know more about the Marvels movie than we do
Mhm.
about Miss
Miss
Marvel.
Marvel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's weird considering the fact that, this is supposed to lead into that movie. So you would think it would be the other way around, but it's not. And they've
Right.
actually
Right.
filmed this show. Like we've seen the footage, but we haven't
Yeah.
seen the show. I don't know.
Yeah, I
I
know.
don't, I don't know. Oh God.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, speaking of shows, like if they were to give WandaVision, like not necessarily another season, because I feel like they wrapped up the show perfectly. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't need to continue. But like if you were to give it like another episode, like what decade or like would it be like a time of year episode? Like what would like be your like dream,
Mm.
like one more episode for WandaVision? Like if Disney Plus is just gonna drop like a random special in
Mhm.
this 5 month
Yeah.
period, what would it be?
I love that. I love that so much. Well, like you said, it's not really, I mean, Wanda says, to quote Wanda in
Mhm.
WandaVision, it's not that kind of show. It's
Yeah.
not the kind of show that has a season 2.
Hmm.
But if they were to drop another episode, I would love, like, I feel like a birthday episode would have been really fun.
Oh,
I would have loved to see the
oh.
twins like celebrating either Vision's birthday or
Hmm.
Wanda's birthday or one of the twins' birthdays, which would be
Yeah.
really chaotic and hilarious because they
Yes.
like age up randomly. Or like even
Yes.
like Agnes's birthday. Like there's so much room. This is the thing that I have really like was super into about the show when it was coming out is
Hmm.
they imply in the show that there are more episodes than the one we're seeing than the
Yes.
ones we're seeing. They imply
Yes.
that there was like a whole season of the 50s and the whole
Hmm.
season of the 60s. So
Yeah.
my headcanoning is that like there are episodes that we just don't know that have happened. And I
Yep.
think that I think there's like a season for every decade. So there could be so much content. I want Marvel, can you hire me? I would love to write the in between episodes for you. Come in. Like, they don't have to have any consequence whatsoever. They can just be
No.
sitcom episodes, but
Yes.
just like come in,
Yeah.
all of the like I Love Lucy misunderstandings, the
Hmm.
like, ah, they're just so fun. One of my favorite sitcom tropes is, or like old sitcom tropes, is
Hmm.
when the like two main characters switch roles for the day. It's so
Uh,
classic. Like they do it in the Brady Bunch, they do it in
hmm.
everything where like the husband and the wife are like, I think my job is harder. I think my job is harder. And then they
Yeah.
switch for a day. I think that would be so funny to see them do that in WandaVision. I don't know. There's so much
Yes.
potential for like
That would be
what we
great.
missed.
That would be great. Just imagining Vision, trying to like, especially if you're doing like a 70s or 80s episode,
Yeah.
like where, Wanda is still very much like the stay-at-home mom, seeing
Hmm.
Vision like trying to like wrangle the twins and Wanda like
Yes.
being in the office.
Uh-huh.
Like,
Yeah.
Oh,
I would see it as like a 70s episode. So it's like there's
yes,
still babies. He has to like watch
yes,
the babies, cook
hmm
the food. He's terrible at cooking. We already know that. So like
yes,
the chaos. Wanda's trying to deal with stuff with Mr. Hart at work.
hmm
Like it would just be so funny.
it would be so good. It'd be so good. I feel like there would be a room for a joke, like the temptation to like make Mr. Hart choke again because he's being
Yeah,
like just
so
like
true.
misogynistic or
Yeah,
just
she's
like
like
annoying.
this
She's like,
close. Yeah. And everyone at work is like so frustrated with her because Vision works at like the speed of sound,
yes,
and he like probably
yes.
does everybody else's work for them. And then she's like so slow, and they're all like, why are you so slow?
Oh my gosh, that's so good.
Yeah.
And then you have Agnes just like barging in, and Vision's just like,
Yeah.
this is
Thank
suspicious. I'm not
you.
comfortable with this. Something's wrong
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. She's like, I'll watch the twins. He's like, no.
It's like, hey, kiddo. Oh, where's Wanda?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Oh man.
Oh, I miss
Yes.
Agnes.
I'd watch it. I'd watch the heck out of
Yeah.
that.
For sure.
Yes, I miss Agnes too. I miss she was and also can we just say like I love don't get me wrong, I loved like I loved the WandaVision theme songs. They're great. They were
hmm
bops. Agatha's song number one, the
Emmy
best.
award winning.
Yes.
We won an Emmy for that
Yes,
song.
we
Like,
did. Well deserved. As we should.
I'm never gonna be over that. Like, this show is Emmy award winning, and one of
Mhm.
those Emmys was for that song,
Yep.
which, like, as it should, like you just
Yeah,
said, like, it is totally deserving of that, but is
it
also
is.
hilarious, and I just love it. And the cultural impact of that, like when that song came out,
Yeah.
how everyone was singing it, it was like
Mhm.
topping charts. Like,
Yes.
people
Yes.
were really into Agatha
They
all
were
along.
they loved the song. And I mean, like,
I know.
for good reason.
I
I
know.
still listen to that song every now and then. Like, it's
Same.
just so good. And then there were like the
hmm
parodies being made of it and everything. It's just
Yes.
like yeah,
hmm
like Catherine Hahn, she's an icon. So good for
Yeah,
her.
I know. Glad for you that you had that success,
Yes.
Catherine. Mm.
Oh man. Yeah. I hope that we do see her in Multiverse of Madness. I
Me
hope, yeah.
too. I would cry if we saw her again.
Yes.
I miss her so much. Like, she was just such a good villain and such a good character, like villain or
Yeah.
not. She was just,
hmm
and her acting, like, I just remember being so mad when the Emmys were happening. I watched them
Yeah.
all day. So I'm the most mad about Lizzie Olsen not getting the Emmy, but
Right.
Catherine Hahn's loss was big for me too. Like,
Yeah.
they moved between styles of sitcom
Yes.
so well. I mean, the acting in this show is just phenomenal. Like, how
hmm
can you even compare that to, like, so
Yeah.
Anya Taylor-Joy won for The Queen's Gambit, which
hmm
I love The Queen's Gambit, and she was
hmm
amazing in that show. But like, Elizabeth Olsen, like, they're acting through 7 different styles of sitcom,
Yeah.
different periods of time, and then all underneath it, she's like playing this morally gray, slightly evil, also just grieving, trying to do the right thing, trying to just protect her family, like
hmm
unaware of what's happening, but slowly realizing there's so many layers to what is going on. And they
hmm
all 3 of them, Catherine Hahn, Paul Bettany, and Elizabeth Olsen,
Yeah.
just killed it. Like,
They did. I know.
I can't
I
even think of a performance that would compare to that. Like,
no, and that goes
it's
back
just so
to what we were
impressive.
saying, how like it's hard to compare WandaVision to anything because
Yeah.
it meshed different genres that like you would never think could mesh before. And
Yeah.
it's true, like the actors had to be able to, travel between these different genres and these different time periods. And the thing is, it's like they made the previous decade feel like those decade episodes feel so authentic. Like
Yeah.
it feels like you could put those episodes in like any other like actual sitcom from that time.
For real. And they put in the
Yeah.
work too. It's
hmm
not like they even just like
No.
edited it all over to like make it look good. Like they did the live studio audience. That
Yes.
assembled
Like the
episode is
actual
so
effects
interesting.
with like
Yeah,
the
the way
having
that they
everything.
did everything.
Yes.
Yes, where she would
With
just freeze and then they would like
yeah.
replace the
Mm-hmm.
chicken with a burnt chicken, or
Mm-hmm.
like, or the eggs with a burnt chicken.
Yeah.
It's so, it makes my job so fun because I do all of the exact same effects on TikTok, and I do it in the
Mm-hmm.
same way that they did it, because I just will freeze, have someone replace whatever's in front of me, and then like
Yeah.
it's really they just did it, so they took all of the hard steps and put in all the work, and
Yep.
you can just tell how much like
Yeah.
love was poured into that project.
Yep. It really did. Like cast, crew, the the development team. Like I feel like everybody was just so deserving of like all the awards for this show, because it like there's been nothing like it before. There's been nothing
Yeah.
like the show before, and I don't think there'll ever be a show that really comes close to the same level. like
No.
like you're saying, like putting in that level of work and commitment to like doing all of these effects and like getting the lighting to be exactly the way it was in those studio audiences in the 50s.
Yeah.
Like it's, and again, it's also like a budget thing. Like Marvel can afford to do this,
Mm-hmm.
but the fact that
Right.
they can afford to do it and they actually did it, that it's, those are two different
Yeah.
things. Like it would have been
Yeah.
very easy for them to justify not doing it because of the cost, because they're super successful Marvel Studios and the fans won't care either way in their mind. Like they're like, no, you know what, we want to do this, we want to commit and actually make it the best we possibly can, and they did. And the
I
world is better
know.
for it.
I know. And I mean, like, I, coming from a place of like, all my friends get so annoyed watching anything period with me because I'm so critical of like the way that they pull it off. I'm
Yeah.
really big on hair. Like, hair has to be accurate to the
Mm-hmm.
period. And it really bugs me when they'll cheat it, or like do like a modern hairstyle and like say, like, it's like, that's not the beauty standard of the time though. Like,
Right.
you can't lie about it and say this is period accurate when
Mm-hmm.
it's not. If you want to like loosely, if it's like a loose interpretation, that's fine, whatever, it's creative. But like, if you're saying this is an interpretation of the period, you have to do it right. And
Right.
just seeing the way that they did that, the hair, the costumes, like everything was handmade and hand designed and so accurate. Like, I
Yeah.
can put my stamp of approval on, like, my expertise kind of stops after the 60s or the 70s maybe, so I don't know as much about like the 80s and the 90s and whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
at least those first 3 episodes, like, I can put my stamp of approval as a licensed nothing but just really into historical fashion, that they did it so well. And that was one of the things that just made me fall in love with it, because I have so much issue with like stuff when it's like, this doesn't feel like you put a lot of effort in, and
Yeah.
you just were like making it period as like another element to the story, and then you didn't actually go there.
Mm-hmm.
So, and just like, it always sticks with me in the assembled episode, they show that literally they had their live studio audience for the first episode, and the chairs that they were
Yeah.
in were
Mm-hmm.
fit to the period. The chairs that the studio audience was watching the show being recorded, not in the show. It has nothing to do with the actual thing that's being filmed, but the
Mm-hmm.
chairs are like accurate to the period. They had all of the studio audience dress up
Yeah.
1950s to come. Like, the level of dedication, I just, like, people do not appreciate it enough. And then people just complain about like, this is not Marvel. Like, I would argue
Yeah.
that it's maybe the purest form of Marvel. Marvel's different than it used to be.
Yeah.
This is Marvel now. Like,
You're right.
Marvel is creative and beautiful and interesting and wacky and weird, and that's where we are. It's not just a bunch of white guys punching people now. Like, that's not what it is. So if you
Yeah.
can't roll with that, then sorry, like, you're not gonna like where it keeps going. It's not gonna be
No,
fun for you.
it's true. Like anybody who's gone through all of phase 4 at this point who has not seen that Marvel is going in a different direction with its storytelling, with the way it approaches its storytelling, has not been paying
Yes.
attention. Because beyond WandaVision, like we were talking before, Shang-Chi, like the visuals, like it felt so different. like it still felt like Marvel, but it felt like like you're saying, like a new form of Marvel.
Yeah.
Like I feel like even with Black Widow, like even though like that story is very much like a Marvel story, just like the cinematography, it like at times it felt more like an indie
Oh
film
no.
than anything else. Like anything
Completely.
non-action,
Yeah.
any like
Yeah.
non-action scene felt more like an indie film than anything else. And
And even the
with
action was so interestingly
mm-hmm,
choreographed, and like from overhead angles, which we don't
yeah,
see a lot in action, or
no,
just like really, really interesting like lens flares, or like
yeah,
shifting perspective from one character to another, and like
mm-hmm,
really heavy held moments between characters. Like I think of
mm-hmm,
when like Natasha and Yelena are pointing guns at
yes,
each other in the apartment, and it's just like
yeah,
this like moment of
this
tension. Like
mm-hmm,
it, everything is personal and necessary, and it's not just a bunch of punching. I don't know,
yeah.
it's just so good now.
It's true. No, it's true. Like you said, it's not just punching anymore. Like, and thinking about how you're talking about the way they shoot like fight scenes now, I immediately thought of the Eternals actually. Like
Yes.
it would have been so easy, like Icarus, for example, to make him
Hmm.
feel just like Superman. But
Yeah.
they approached shooting his sequences in such a way that you can see the similarities, but you're not immediately thinking of Superman. Like you're looking at like this, like there's just so many gorgeous
Yeah.
shots in that film that I've loved Marvel since like phase one, but
Hmm.
those earlier phases they were not shot the same way that they're doing movies
No.
now. Like
Yeah.
it's a completely different look.
I mean, the standard is just so much higher now. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we're not talking about WandaVision anymore, but in a way, it's like the
And
same.
it WandaVision
It all
opened the door for
connects.
all of this. Yeah.
Exactly. Like
Mm-hmm.
it, they started as like they were just looking to nudge their way into the action genre. Marvel was not really a thing at all.
Yeah.
And then like with like Jon Favreau and Iron Man, and then it became the thing it is now, and got the cult following that it has, and became so mainstream where it was not that before. And I think that one of the things that I love about film is that over time it is just like the standard for things being really well done has just gotten better over time.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like today I think about Encanto, the Disney movie that recently came out. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's just so like the focus on like the visuals and the
Yeah.
writing and the story, like you don't, it's like that's the standard for kids movies now, is that they're like
Mm-hmm.
really, really good. Or just superhero movies, they have to be really, really good. I think that's where a
Yeah.
lot of other companies that do superhero stuff are like struggling to catch up, because Marvel caught that really fast, and then with phase 4 they're just knocking it out of the park with just like their complex storylines. Everything is
Mm-hmm.
character driven rather than action driven, which
Yep.
drives the whole plot, and then just
Mm-hmm.
brings everything together so nicely. And female led, oh,
Yes.
like I could talk about that for hours. Like we have female led and
Mm-hmm.
POC characters, so many
Yep.
more than we ever did in the past, just in phase 4 alone. Like
Yeah.
just, oh, the Eternals, like I have so much love for phase 4. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. And like we said before, WandaVision built phase four in a
It
cave
did.
with a box of scraps.
Yeah. And I mean, also it set the standard. Like people were like, so this is where we're going, and I'm expecting this level of excellence from everything else. And we got
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yep.
Like that was I'm not picky. I love everything in phase 4.
Yeah.
A lot of people hate on Loki. I think it's not my favorite, but I still think there were things about it that were really fun, really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
Like,
like I agree. Like Loki's definitely not it's probably my least favorite in phase four, but
yeah,
I can still
same.
appreciate like the costume design, the cinematography. Like even if you're not a fan of the
Yes.
story, you can still appreciate the look of the show.
Yeah.
And it ties
I
back
love
into
that.
the whole idea that Marvel has really raised the standard for themselves in terms of how they present the story and all the different facets that go into that, because it's not just about,
Yeah.
the script is super important, but it's now
Yeah.
we're so visual now that
Yes.
they are just doing such a good job of like with the costumes. Like the costumes in phase four have been phenomenal. With the soundtrack, like I don't think there's like a single soundtrack that
Yes.
I have not loved in phase
Yeah.
four.
Same.
it's just I phase 4 is easily the most, not only like story wise, it's not only like the best story phase, but it's also like the most visually appealing phase.
Yeah, it's just beautiful in every
Mhm.
like aspect, like the sound, like you're talking
Yeah.
about the soundtrack.
Mhm.
Everything is just so interesting. I love the WandaVision soundtrack because again, it's so
Yes.
creative. Like
So
the
good.
way that Christoph Beck, the composer for that,
Mhm.
did not just like the theme songs that Robert Anderson and Robert Lopez and Kristen Anderson Lopez did, but
Mhm.
the soundtrack, the score for each
Yeah.
individual episode, completely different for every single episode. Like
Yep.
we haven't had that with another Phase 4 show where there's a different soundtrack for each episode. You
Yeah.
can find the soundtrack for each WandaVision episode on Spotify. And I
Yeah.
just like it's so fun. And again, like just the detail and the work that's poured into it. It's just and then like the way that it would evolve. So like with the 80s episode, we talked about where that's when conflict first comes in, the
Yeah.
way that that soundtrack jumps from like family ties, that vibe, and like the piano jingles and like
Yes.
cheesy, really cheesy 80s music, and then it would
Mhm.
just like subtly fade into this like really ominous sound that we
Mhm.
got from when they would fight, or like when
Yes.
Vision would notice something was up and the soundtrack would just sometimes, actually, that is super interesting. Sometimes the soundtrack would get weird and sometimes it would stay sitcom, and that was super creepy.
Yeah.
Like when
Yeah.
he would notice something was up and it would just like be like and like it was
Yeah.
just super like it's like that's what's so creative
Yeah.
because again, I'm like remembering all of the love that I have for this show over this
Mhm.
episode with you, but like the production in itself is also Wanda.
Yeah.
So it's like this just crazy layered thing of like the soundtrack was composed by Christoph Beck, but in the show, the soundtrack was composed by Wanda. So
Yes.
she's controlling the music and she's controlling the credits and she's
Mhm.
controlling like the cinematography and the
Yeah.
shots and the filming style, and
Yeah.
it's just so cool.
Yes. It's like, girl, I need wherever you got your film degree. I need to know
I
because
know, please. I'm going there.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
it truly is like one of the best. Like I don't care like how many other shows Marvel comes out with, like WandaVision will always be like at the top. Like
Yeah.
it might get
I
knocked down
agree.
maybe one or two, but like it's always going to be like in the top 3. There's no question. Like
Yeah.
it's just such a good show.
I mean, it's that unique. There's definitely nothing that will try to do that category again and
Yeah.
topple it from there. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, that's it for this episode of the Fandom Report. Thank you guys all so much for watching. And thank you, Lauren, again, so much for joining. Is there any last, thoughts, comments, anything that you want to share before we sign off?
Mm. If you don't like WandaVision, give it another shot. Just watch it again under the lens of like, this is really good cinema. Just
Yes.
watch it under that lens. If not, if you're mad about it being in Marvel, just appreciate it with that lens at least. And then yeah, my TikTok username is Little Miss Scarlet Witch. I create all Wanda content. I impersonate her. I have like every costume she's ever worn. So if you want to see that, and then my Instagram is Lauren __ Karis. And if you want like the vintage stuff that I do day to day, that's on there pretty much. And that's about it.
I will definitely be linking all of the socials
Yeah.
in the description box. So make sure you guys click those links and follow because Lauren's content is fantastic. And you make all of the costumes too for Wanda,
Pretty
right?
much, yeah. I have a couple
So
that I've bought, but mostly, yeah.
mostly homemade. So super talented, super entertaining. So make sure you guys hit the follow button on her socials. Well, thank you again, Lauren, so much
Yeah.
for joining me
Thank you for
today. And
having me. It was so
anytime,
fun.
anytime,
Yeah.
definitely going to have you on again in the future.
Yay.
And thank you guys again for watching. I will see you in the next episode. Bye.
Yay. Bye.